Welcome to the Core Reports Weekend Edition. Manufacturing a product is one part of a whole supply chain, which of course ensures that at the end of it, that you receive the product that was manufactured, quite likely in another part of the country or even the world. So how do you make the entire supply chain more energy efficient? How do you use more efficient fuels or even alternate fuels? I'm joined by a company today which runs on a trucking network that's powered by LNG or liquefied natural gas, which arguably is able to transport those materials or products at a much more efficient or in a much more efficient way. My guest today is Anand Mimani, the CEO of GreenLine, a company that has a countrywide trucking service on LNG and hopes to grow further. Anand, thank you so much for joining me. So Anand, let me start with a few basic questions. So what you do is you run a trucking service which is powered by liquid natural gas. And that trucking service usually caters to industrial customers, or I'm assuming mostly caters to industrial customers, traveling long distances. And in doing that, you're doing two things. I think one is reducing the carbon footprint. I'm also assuming you're reducing the cost because you're not buying diesel, which would have otherwise powered such trucks. So tell us about what the company GreenLine does in terms of size, scope, and how does it work?
GreenLine is a very young company. It's a startup 2 years ago that we did. And the whole idea and vision mission was to decarbonize the road logistics. And we could find that LNG is a good transition fuel for heavy duty truck movement, as you rightly said. The value proposition was very, very clear that if you have to decarbonize road logistics, LNG, using this fuel, you could move your vehicle with up to 1200 to 1400 kilometers, depending on the terrain, with a 40-ton payload as a capacity of the vehicle. So we, in the logistics area, have built this company from an ESG platform point of view. Environment, because LNG helps reducing about 30% of the carbon dioxide and other gaseous materials like SOx down to about 100%, NOx down to about 59%, and particular material down to about 91%. And LNG is nothing but another form of natural gas. So in India, we've been using compressed natural gas, and now we move to using LNG as a fuel from an environment point of view, as well as from a sustainable fuel point of view. Overall costs, as we know, between diesel and natural gas is cheaper everywhere across. And so we said it's a good win-win situation from a long-term perspective, as India has to be a gas-based economy, which was shared by PMO's vision. We said on those lines, it is good to get into creation of this ecosystem.
Right. And how big is the fleet today? And I mean, how many trucks are moving on a particular day, and where are they usually going or coming from?
So we're closing a fleet size of approximately 350 odd vehicles today on the ground in the month of March. And we would say our vehicles have made 3/4 of the country go green. When I say that, I would say right from, you can say, Delhi, moving to Rajasthan, Gujarat as a state, Maharashtra, Chhattisgarh, going all the way down to states like Andhra, Telangana, Tamil Nadu, Karnataka. Our trucks are moving in all these states. With the fuel efficiency that we have over here and the range efficiency that we can build in this, all these portions have already the places where our vehicles are moving and decarbonizing the road logistics with a 40-ton payload of goods getting moved. So whether you say steel as a sector, cement, or you can call it metal mining, because we started deploying for companies like Hindustan Zinc also some vehicles, and other commodity, besides the commodities also, we started moving it for FMCG and other express cargoes. So yeah, today we can see that we are being able to make inroads with these vehicles all across sectors as well.
So I'll come to the network in a moment. So tell me about a truck in itself. So firstly, you said 40 tons. How does that compare to a normal truck which is running on diesel? Does it have more payload capability? Is it the same payload?
So all these vehicles in diesel are also the same payload, 55-ton and 40-ton payload. And it is the same platform in which these vehicles are being played, same 55-ton and 40-ton payload.
And when you want to power it with LNG, this is a retrofit that you do, or is it come from the manufacturer?
These none of my vehicles are retrofitted. They are all manufactured by Blue Energy Motors, which is an OEM manufacturing these vehicles. And yeah, we just buy it from them and deploy it on the ground.
So they manufacture the whole thing, or is it like, do they buy a Tata chassis or something and then?
No, they buy all the components from the world's, you can say, number one or number two players manufacturing auto components. And the main focus of Blue Energy Motors as a company is to have the R&D facility, the assembly line, the integration of a vehicle and the kind of product which needs to be launched in the country, and thereafter ensuring the marketing and the sales and the service and the support of the same.
So do they have other customers apart from you? Or?
Yes, they are having other customers also buying these vehicles today.
Okay. And when a truck runs on LNG, does it have the same locomotive power as if you were to power it with diesel? Or?
In fact, better, because LNG is a more stronger fuel than what diesel is. It has a better power ratio. And so, yes, LNG gives all the kind of efficiencies what is required from a trucking point.
And I'll come to the critical question of cost in a moment, but is it easy to find LNG, and how do these trucks fuel up, and how long can they run with one tank?
LNG is a new concept in the country which has been pushed by us, whether you say Blue Energy Motors manufacturing the vehicle and GreenLine deploying such vehicles in the country. So today, between the west coast and southern of the India, there are LNG stations now available in the last 1 year. And yeah, slowly stations are being built up more in the country by our own subsidiary company, which is Ultragas as well. And that's how it's panning up more in the country.
Right. So you're saying that the infrastructure is sort of growing with you or expanding with you, and therefore it will. But that infrastructure would serve other truckers who also use
It's
LNG?
for everyone.
Okay. And could LNG also power cars? Because today we talk about CNG, right?
So the USP of LNG is to go for a long distance at one fill with a heavy load capacity. In cars, it's mainly CNG because the distance is not that high, and the tonnage is also not that. I mean, 4 or 5 people sitting in the car, that's what we look at. So cars are mainly with CNG as a cylinder, and trucks, heavy duty trucks, are mainly with LNG as a cylinder.
And how far does a tank go?
Up to 1400 kilometers, depending on the terrain.
One tank
and
of LNG?
One filled tank of LNG, anywhere between 1200 to 1400 kilometers is the range that we are covering.
So then you've covered practically good part of north, south and east, west if you were to be traveling.
Exactly.
There.
That is why with even less stations, we have been able to cater to about, you can say, 3/4 of the country is where our trucks are moving.
Right. And to come to cost now, how does it pan out versus other fuels, and are there other set-offs that the people who use your service get? And
so as I shared, I mean, natural gas is already there in India, whether you call it in CNG form. So CNG, when you compress it, it becomes CNG. If it's a liquefied gas, it is LNG. So it's a similar kind of a pricing as what you find it in CNG.
So which means it's less than
it is less than diesel, for sure. So that it is.
So then, is the cost of the truck much higher relative to?
Yeah, in comparison to a diesel vehicle, the cost of a LNG-powered vehicle is higher from a capex point of view. Yes.
Okay. And those who use your trucks, I mean, do they get like a carbon set-off somewhere, or is it purely because they're trying to either save costs or appear green?
So we have done it differently. When we went into this concept, our whole thought was that to decarbonize road logistics, which should be measurable. And so we went and put up a carbon clock in our command center in GreenLine, so that every truck, when it is moving every kilometer, we calculate the trees which is getting saved, we calculate the carbon dioxide which is getting saved, and we've given it to a third-party agency to ensure that they audit us and share a kind of a confirmation to our customers as what have they saved, and tell us also what have we done on a monthly basis. And since the idea and vision mission is to go green, so that's how we have started off.
Right. Okay, now let's look ahead. So you said you have 350 trucks currently, and I'm sure that's growing. Yeah. But what's the potential of this market in the near term? So is it all the trucks that are plying in India and then what you can take away from them, or a certain portion?
I'll put it this way, that India is today having a 4 million truck vehicle economy, and which is growing.
Yeah.
As per the last Niti Aayog report, we saw in the next 10 years, India is supposed to grow at a rate of 8.8% CAGR, and it would be at least an 8 million vehicle market. We believe there's enough room, and LNG is a good, cleaner transition fuel, which can play a very important role in deploying of these vehicles in the form of getting carbon dioxide reduced, in the form of better profitabilities from a long term, and on a win-win scale basis. So I would not say how much would it convert from diesel to LNG, but I'll say moving forward, people whoever are converting their vehicles, buying new vehicles, would definitely look at LNG as an option.
Right. And for you as a company, are you wedded to LNG or are you wedded to clean solutions? So therefore you could be, whatever, a Tesla truck tomorrow.
Yes, so we are very clear. We have CNG powered vehicles also. We've got Tata 1512s, we've got Volvo Eicher CNG vehicles as well. And so we have LNG vehicles. We are also planning to go for EV and maybe hydrogen tomorrow. So any kind of an alternate fuel having and bringing clean energy in decarbonizing the road logistics of India, we would be going ahead with those kinds of trucks.
Right. And if you look internationally, are there similar examples of networks which are sort of clean fuel or alternate fuels and so on?
Of course. I mean, LNG is new in India, but if you go to Europe or US, China, Japan, everywhere LNG vehicles are working. EV vehicles are working. Lately, hydrogen has also started to get emerged as well. And so it is working everywhere in India. It is just that in India, we've created the ecosystem as moving forward. And I'm sure everybody else would follow on the same.
And do you see the larger manufacturers also getting into the manufacture of similar trucks or such trucks?
Yes, I believe Tata Motors, Ashok Leyland, who are the major players of automotive truck manufacturing, are going to be launching it very, very soon. And even Volvo, Eicher and Mahindra also do plan to bring these vehicles very soon in the country.
So as a company today, so when you say you're running the trucks, are you actually managing the logistics, the fleet logistics as well, or is that done by someone else?
The complete fleet logistics is managed by us.
By you. So in doing so then, so therefore the fleet logistics, I'm assuming, is the bigger part of the daily operational run, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Okay. So tell us about what sort of insights do you see or have, having done this now for 2 years, that perhaps people may not know as you've sort of built up this fleet?
So when we moved in deploying these vehicles, we said we would like to do it a little differently. We are more conscious from an ESG point of view. So we ensured that 100% of our vehicles are having the first level ADAS systems as well, so that it is not, the driver community, when you say, it should also be well taken care of, because they are your pilots, they are your captains running the ships. And so we said their safety, security is equally important as of your assets. And that is something which we deployed. LNG as a fuel is better than diesel, not just from environment point of view, but the engines also make less noisy. So it's about 30% reduction on noise level as well. And so we saw these benefits across as a fuel, as an alternate fuel is very good. And we have our own command centers, governance team and everything, so that we have our defined SLAs for the vehicle, movement, tracking, everything is got built up.
And have you faced any problems on the road which you perhaps did not anticipate then, but now are better in control
Nothing
of?
which cannot be controlled or cannot be checked on. So no such concerns. Yes, of course, the A-dash level systems that we deployed, we all saw in the first week of January the kind of driver agitation, which is a very big concern. So on the highways, when you go, if there's an accident that you meet up, there are no cameras and you really don't know how it works. But with the A-dash level systems that were deployed, uh, it's a general phenomena or a tendency that if a truck driver is hit a vehicle, it must be a fault of a truck driver only. But that is not the case at a lot of times, and we could get it demonstrated and proved to the police authorities whenever such similar accidents have happened that it was not to our driver's fault. And with that, it was clear to the police authorities and they could release them. And that sent out a message to the entire community that this company is here for ensuring our safety, personal safety as well, which is very important as a factor which binds us between both the community and the companies.
Right, and I guess it's now well established that we have newer and newer road networks that are coming up. Let's say Samriddhi Expressway on the east-west corridor is one such example. So obviously time taken must be coming down. But is there anything else apart from the most logical thing, which is that time taken must be coming down?
Are you asking from the point of view of
overall logistics? I'm saying a package that leaves Calcutta, which has to come to Bombay. I mean, how long does it take? Used to take earlier, it takes now. And therefore, if you know that it's going to take less, your entire system maybe is moving on a much higher speed and efficiency.
Absolutely. I think the road network, which is now being built in India at this point, has been fantastic. The roads are really good, reducing the time taking. We have clocked our vehicles going from Nhava Sheva all the way to Delhi. Our LNG-powered vehicles have been clocking at about 40-41 hours. So the road network as it is has become very good. And with the new networks also coming up, I'm sure it will reduce more time, giving more benefits to the logistics companies in terms of profitabilities. So definitely the road logistics has improved with the good network of roads being constructed today in the country.
And how do your drivers switch at certain points, and how is your fleet organized in terms of
so we have both the concept. We have single driver concept also, and we have a double driver concept depending on the journey route that is there. If there are something like a 500-kilometer run, we do it say maybe at one driver also. And if there are express cargoes like going all the way from Nhava Sheva to Delhi, we do it with double driver systems also because the journeys are longer. There should be appropriate rest times also given to the driver. And with that, we've also created a lot of rest areas for our driver, recreation areas also for our drivers, so that they feel appropriate and more lived up whenever they are in business.
So, what's your fleet size expansion plan?
Well, we believe as India is growing and on alternate fuel, we've taken up a target to deploy approximately 5,000 such vehicles on the ground in the upcoming year.
And which would they, I mean, I'm sure they would work all over the country, but would you have a sort of focus or concentration in some areas?
So no, when I'm saying, first of all, 5,000 vehicles, we would also be planning to do EV vehicles in this year as a deployment plan. And it would be all across, whether you say any state in the country, depending on my customer focus areas, we would be deploying it all across.
So when you say EV, do you mean like more last mile EV, or is it?
No, we would be only going in for heavy duty.
Okay.
We want to remain in that space because if you see today, when you talk of road logistics pollution, heavy duty is vehicles pollute the majority. 70% of the pollution is from heavy duty trucks. So our focus is only for this segment on today's date.
And so would these trucks carry similar weight? I mean, I know there are EV buses, so therefore the size is understandable. And there are EV trucks in China, United States, and so on. But I haven't seen one here as yet. So which one will it be? And
so Blue Energy Motors also plans to produce in future. And it's all going to be on the same 55 ton with a 40 ton payload is what we plan to produce. And that's the space that we would like to remain.
And these batteries would obviously take much longer to charge and so on, but what about distance? How much would they run?
So there are both fast chargers as well as slow chargers. So depending on the kind of contracts that we close, we would be deploying appropriate charging systems around the whole vicinity with the customer's help and support.
So assuming all these vehicles, whether it's hydrogen or EV or LNG or even CNG, all delivers at same cost, the same kind of return on investment and output, what would you choose?
A return on
And
investment.
if they were all available equally.
So return on investment is definitely important in any business that you do. Otherwise, sustainability doesn't work at all. So today's date in heavy duty, our fundamental belief is all short hauls, we would like to go in with EV, and all long hauls, we would like to go in with LNG as a fuel. So with that fundamental only, we have carved out our entire business plan.
Okay. And in terms of technology, what else do you see happening? I mean, not on the fuel side, but in the whole sort of fuel management of a truck or even for that matter, the logistics side.
Logistics side, I think from an India point of view, we have already at it. Whatever you find it in the world happening, being done from a ADAS level system point of view and everything, it's all happening. The only thing which would be the next step forward would be making autonomous vehicles, but I don't think so. The country is geared up right now for that.
I don't think any country is geared up.
Any country is geared for that. And then the next step would be hydrogen for sure. But that is also still in the making. We are also hoping and looking at it coming up in the near future. But yes, at this moment, I think with LNG and EV, it's a clear way forward going ahead.
Okay. So you mentioned earlier that, and this is what I thought, that you were transporting more heavy metals and machinery and so on. I mean, anything very heavy. But consumer products seems to have, is also an area that you serve.
Yes.
So do people come to you because they have a certain need and they want to align it with their own ESG principles, or rather, why would they come to you? I'm assuming you're also reaching out to them. But
of course, it's both ways. And what I have experienced in interacting with all the customers is today every customer, every corporate is very, very conscious when it comes to carbon dioxide emissions and everything. Everybody has a focus of ESG. Everybody wants to reduce their carbon footprint. And when they come to know that there is somebody who is ready to invest, deploy such vehicles on the ground and reduce their scope 3 emission levels, they've been happy to consider us as their vendor partner in order to deploy such vehicles and help India go green.
Okay. So last couple of questions, one on finance. So how is this financed at this point?
Majorly through equity is what it has been financed.
Okay. And obviously you have enough cash accruals because you have revenue.
Yes.
But where are you in terms of profitability and so on?
So we are a profitable company. Today's date, whatever the trucks have been financed, it has been majorly done from equity because debt takes a little time. The institution, bankers on alternate fuels, giving debt as a support, as a normal truck financing, which happens in diesel vehicles, is not so easy. And we hope soon, in order to grow our fleets, we would also be taking some kind of a
But
debt.
you're not able to get the trucks independently financed. You're saying?
Yes.
Okay.
The truck financing on account of alternate fuel is a little slow, is what I'm saying, by the institutions.
But that's somewhat that somewhat runs counter to what you would think the policy thrust is, right?
Yes, even we are requesting all the necessary offices to look into it and help and support in getting the truck financing on alternate fuels.
No, is it because there's a cost difference between, let's say, what they're usually used to financing, which could be Ashok Leyland, Tata,
Exactly.
and so on?
So they have to venture out for alternate fuels. So certain profile of risk mitigation is also required at their end, which they need to get it cleared internally and come in for truck financing. So whether you say all these big truck financing companies, they are yet looking at alternate. They're very slow in giving clearances for alternate fuels.
And do you have, or I'm assuming you do, some embedded subsidies in the purchase price or the price of a truck today, which is running on?
No, there is no
LNG
subsidies that
at
we
all?
have ever gone and requested also to the government. We believe if you have to have a sustainable company from a long term, there is no need for subsidies. There's support which can be requested, but if you go and ask for subsidies and build a company based on subsidies, then it is not long term.
Yeah.
So from a long term point of view, you have to ensure that your working model itself is sustainable. That's how you can grow and build the company.
But if you were to buy electric truck, which you say you will, there will be a subsidy built into that, or at least in cars there is, and scooters or whatever there is, isn't it?
Well, I don't see any subsidies so
For
far
trucks.
being given by the government for the trucks, excepting for the reduction of GST, which they have already done, and which is all across. But besides that, on today's date, I don't see any other subsidy that is there. And I think it's okay.
Yeah. So you're saying that as you look ahead, and that's really my last question. So a company like this is competing with other companies in the same space, regardless of the fact that you may have higher capital cost, but of course slightly lower operational cost on the fuel part. And I'm assuming the operating cost on maintenance and so on is also similar as others. So, so you're running on par with any other company in this space today. I mean, there's no real advantage. I mean, there's no external advantage that's given to you.
From external advantage,
it could be a tariff advantage, a subsidy advantage.
No, when we are going to our customers, we are asking them to allow us to deploy such vehicles at no extra cost than diesel. And they are also very happy because in every corporate or in every working system of any company, diesel is already a baked-in fuel from a very long time. And when he realizes that if he can give me the same price and help the reduction of carbon dioxide by 30%, I mean, they're also conscious today that they're so happy and they're welcoming. And LNG having a higher calorific value helps me in a better fuel mileage and everything, which helps me to compensate my higher capital costs and returns towards that. And so when we are deploying these vehicles, we are finding the equation to be done on a win-win scale between the customer and us, and enhancing the whole portfolio of our vehicles in a larger manner.
Right. And the last question,
Sure.
do you see people wanting to get into this space? I mean, if it sounds fairly
Yes,
attractive.
I would say that I meet a lot of my logistics friends and partners around in this community. They ask me on all the benefits. I welcome them to come, see, understand, because we believe that something what we are doing, if we all do it together, I think we all can help our country decarbonize very, very soon. So all my friends in the logistics industry are understanding this, watching it very closely, and I'm sure slowly buying a few sets of vehicles and would be deploying them on a continuous basis.
Right. Anand, pleasure talking to you. Thank you so much for joining me.